Hello everyone. My name is Aurora Mona ASMR, and for this video I wanted to continue with the series of outdoor school books that I have. So if you're a returning viewer, you may have noticed that last time I reviewed and did a flip through of the outdoor school animal watching book, where it touched on a lot of North American animals. But for this one, I'll be focusing on rock, fossil, and shell hunting. However, in this case, I'll mainly be looking at rock hunting because I decided to bring some of my rock collection here with me. As you can see, it's probably slightly bright because it is covered in a Ziploc bag. However, I will be taking them out and pouring just a bit of water to show the full colors and designs of each rock that I have here with me. So I hope you all enjoy this video. Like and subscribe, and let's start, shall we? Okay, so to start off, we can look for the table of contents. Here we go. Now, specifically, what we're looking for are rocks and minerals. Don't get me wrong, fossils and shells are very interesting to look at. However, I don't really have any fossils with me. I didn't even know you can find fossils in nature, but it's true, you can. And I do have a shell collection. However, I do think it would be nice to have that for a separate video. But let me know if you'd like a part 2 to this. Now, for the rocks and minerals, if you don't know, there are 3 types of rocks. There's igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. This is basic geography, so that's only the reason why I know this. But with my pile that I have right here in the corner and the little bits of water, I want to be able to see if I can identify any of the rocks. And who knows, maybe some of them are actually minerals. Typically what I've seen, and this may be wrong, so I may be wrong, just to let you know. I've seen sometimes people open the rocks, and inside the rocks you can see what makes the minerals minerals, crystals, and things like that. Again, I'm not too sure. This is why I got this book, because I wanted to learn. But let's get started, shall we? Now here is part 1. This looks like a pickaxe, but I'm not necessarily sure. But we're looking at rocks and minerals, and with the landscape behind us, it seems to be maybe like a canyon, but it looks to be circled in a bowl. You can see the heaps of rock, the heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of rock, all circled. However, there is vegetation growing. You can see it at the ends right here. Maybe this is a tree. This could also be a tree. However, these are bushes, very lush and green, even growing amongst the dry dirt. And it is really pretty seeing the design up close. And lastly, we have some birds overtaking the sky, a very bright blue sky that's cloudless. But let's start, shall we? This is very important to know, so I'm going to be keeping this in this video. But before collecting rocks, you should use good judgment. This is, for instance, if this is from a habitat and you may be thinking that taking it out of the habitat will have negative effects, then it's good to not remove the minerals, ores, or rocks. Wear gloves to protect your hands from sharp rocks. But not even just that, I would say there are certain types of materials that are not good for us to be touching it just with the sole palm of our hand. So be careful when picking up things in nature, naturally, obviously. Don't inhale any of the dust on top or near a rock. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't go near high drop-offs or cliffs. Don't enter tunnels, mines, or wade into unfamiliar bodies of water. And avoid roads and bike paths. And naturally, be safe. Depending on where you decide to venture, go with a friend. Take a cell phone, compass, bottle of water, snacks, sunscreen, and maybe a whistle to blow if you get lost. This is what I was explaining about before. A rock with a surprise inside, geodes. So sometimes if you crack open certain rocks, you can find crystals inside the rock, and I don't really want to do that with my collection. Who knows, there could be things inside, but I also don't want to ruin the rock. However, if I ever do find one that looks similar to this, I will try that out in the future. Here we have Igneous Rocks. So, to look into igneous rocks, here are some examples. Igneous rocks are formed when magma cools and hardens. So that's why we have a picture of a volcano right here. Now, these are some common ones, but what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to quickly put this here to hold up my page. Or let me do this actually. And let me start to take out my rocks. And here we go. I was gonna make it look nice and pretty when I distributed all these rocks. However, I'll be honest, it was very hard to find a lot of space for them. So let me move this to the side and just move my rocks a bit. There we go. Now let's continue, shall we? Given these rocks, I can't really see any that fit. Maybe this one? Let me put some water to show. But it kind of reminds me of granite. Maybe tough. Let me see if I could find any others. Like this. Or this. Actually, this looks very similar. Let's see. Okay, I think these are the three that I could find. Now, using my water, I'm gonna just pour a bit of water to see if it matches. So, just a bit of water. Let me put this to the side. Let me put a small drop. Look, there we go. Another drop right here. Small drop. I don't think it's gonna get the page wet, thankfully. Yeah. Oh, it went through. That's good though. And then, yeah, it's not getting the page wet. Drop right here. Now, given that, I don't necessarily think this one fits granite as much as I thought. Because granite seems to be a bit lighter while mine is darker. However, this one looks very similar. Very, very similar to tuff. So maybe I'll assume that this is tuff, an igneous rock. The others, I'll actually put this away. And this one too. The others, let's see. Well, I got just a bit of it wet, so I can probably fix that later. The others, I don't know if this is granite. It's very hard to tell. This one maybe looks a bit more like it since it has the black spots. However, I'm just going to assume the single one that I had was tough. Now, let's continue on, shall we? Here we have some intrusive rocks from the Igneous Rocks. I don't think any of them fit, however, looking at my rock collection to the side. Yep, let's continue. Oh, here we have sedimentary rocks. So, limestone conglomerate. I don't know how, this looks cool, but I don't know how to spell that. Chalk, shale, and sandstone. Right off the bat, I don't know why these two, let me just put them up. These two kind of remind me of sandstone. Maybe it's just similar coloring, but let me add some water. Just a small drop. Look how fast that goes. Beautiful. And a small drop. Again, extremely fast. Very beautiful. I think this is sandstone, actually. It looks very similar coloring. This one, I'm not too sure. I thought it was sandstone because it feels rough like sandstone. However, this one seems to fit the mold more visually. So I'll put them to the side right now. Now let's continue on, shall we? Oh, it seems that the sedimentary rocks were very short, or there wasn't a lot to look at. But here are some metamorphic rocks. It says metamorphic rocks are formed deep in the earth, only come to the surface when pushed upward, like in a volcano. Here we have quartz, slate, marble, serpentine, and I don't know how to pronounce these two. I think this is Igneous. But actually, let me quickly see this big one. This is very similar, is it not? At least the patterns of layers remind me of slate. Maybe even this one. And this one. Maybe, let me add some water. Now, one small drop. Another drop here. And a drop here. This one's different. The water spread out very quick, but this one, for instance, is taking a long time. And I'm going to add more droplets to this one since it's taking its time. Thankfully, it has a larger surface, so I don't have to worry about it falling on the ground. But let me see, shall we now? We move the water around. Oh, it doesn't want to move. I don't know, I feel like these are very unique principles. I don't think this is slate anymore, though. It does seem a bit too bright for slate. That makes sense. So I'm going to leave that to the side. This one may hold true. Look how dark it is. Let me spread it with my finger. This could be slate. I'm going to say it is. Again, I'm not an expert. However, it does look very similar, does it not? And the last one, I'm going to also fill in just with my finger, like this. Oh, I got a little bit of water. No worries. it'll just dry off later, thankfully. This one really does seem like slate. Part of me feels like there's something inside this rock, and if I break it open, maybe I'll find crystals, who knows? However, it does look like slate to me, so that's what I'm gonna go with. Now let me put this away. Oh, look at this. Here's the rock cycle. So let's start with igneous, since that's the first one that we saw. There's igneous rocks, and then it goes through erosion and sedimentation, and then it turns to sedimentary rocks. And then with heat and pressure, it turns to metamorphic rocks. The heat, we can maybe even concur that it could be like magma, since that's typically how we see metamorphic, I'm assuming. And then with melting and magma, oh, I was wrong. And then when it hardens, it turns to igneous rocks again. And here's some more information about our Earth's core. So we have the inner core, we have the outer core, we have the mantle, and then the crust where we sit. It's the dirt, vegetation, things like that. Actually, here, look. The crust, this is the outermost layer of the Earth, where we live. It is made of hard, brittle rock, about 95% igneous and metamorphic, and 5% sedimentary. It's only about 3 to 6 miles thick under the oceans and averages about 25 miles thick on the continents. Think of the Earth's crust like the skin of an apple. It's very thin compared to what's inside. Who knew? And here is an actual picture of all of this. Magma. And as rising magma cools and hardens, it turns into rock. And then the rocks exposed to erosion and weathering are weathered and eroded rocks, which creates sediment. And this is the Earth's surface with the mountains, the mountains, the mountains. And then the sediment is deposited into the water, the bright blue water in rivers. Sediment is buried and compacted, and rocks push around the tectonic plates, which show the crust. The crust. And here's the mantle. I thought this was a river, but I think this is just the mantle. This part is also very interesting. It says what we'll be looking for in terms of minerals. We can look at the specific gravity to tell which mineral is in your rock. So this is part of weighing the rocks. There's also an acid test to determine whether your rock contains carbonate minerals. Do this with a professional. And a magnetic test will determine whether your rock contains iron. That's pretty cool. Now, there's also finding the density with putting a scale, filling the cylinder that you may have with water, and with this you're able to read and look at the specific designs of the rock. Also, look at this. How high did the water go up? So for instance, if we fill our cylinder with water and we place in the cylinder a rock, how high does the rock go? Ideally with gravity and the density of the rock or mineral that we have. And then you can subtract the initial volume before we put the rock in from the final volume to get the change in volume. And this could be very important to record when trying to find the density and specific gravity of the rocks. Now, that was quite a bit of information, I'll be honest. I still have quite a bit of rocks left, so I thought it would be interesting to just see what the rocks would look like when placed with water. So as you can see with this one, for instance, there's a difference in material. So let me put some water. And this one is very similar to the other. This one looks like sandstone. This too is different colors. Different colored, maybe. Including this one. I wonder what that means. And now I need some more water. This one looks very beautiful. You can see the layers. The layers of rock. Very particularly beautiful. And then the top is also equally beautiful. I put that down. This is just very thin, almost like a plate. This rock, let's quickly look at it, shall we? Does this little rock look like a crystal? I can't tell that well. Let me put some more water. A part of me wants to assume it's a crystal. However, I don't really think I can identify this, but it looks like these are the crystals. Let me put this down. Now let's just add more water. More water. This particularly looks purple. Very cool. Look, this one spreads out really fast. I wonder if there's a specific chemical reason for that. Like this one doesn't, but this one did. This one particularly interests me because it is purely translucent. As you can see, with just a bit of water, you can see how clear it is at the bottom. While this one is not necessarily translucent, but it is still white, creamy white, I would say. But look at that. It's just clear, creamy white. I have others like that actually. Like this one, which already has a bit of water. It's just pure white wall. That's a very weird description, but this is definitely what you would see in a wall or a business. And if I spread this one around, you can see how beautifully different it is. Kind of like its own ecosystem right here in the middle, containing two pairs of rocks. Maybe due to water shifting, it just smashed into each other, or it combined. However, I'm not too sure. We added some water in this one, I believe. Yes. This one looks very soft, and it is soft. I don't necessarily think it's sandstone though. These though are very interesting to me since they have very similar distinct features. Green with slight bits of black. This one is more reddish yellow, not yellow, reddish white, but it is very similar that it just catches my eye. But it is still very different from this one. This one is more spread out, kind of like a painting even, like there are bubbles inside. Let me see. Oh, I didn't put any water on this one. It's completely gray. Who knows, maybe this is a geode rock and there's crystals inside if I open it. However, I'm a bit nervous to do that since I don't want to ruin how perfectly symmetrical this rock almost looks. And this rock also looks like it's been at least combined with another. As we can see, the soft stone right here and a harder, distinctly designed rock. And then here's the last one. This one could be crystals and has more of a rougher edge, as you can see here. Now, are there any that I'm missing? I didn't really talk about this one that much. It kind of reminds me of sandstone a bit, based on the color, as you can see. However, it does not necessarily have the same designs. Rather, I just assume based on the color. But overall, I think the rocks that I have here with me are just rocks. But I think I did get a lot of these wrong and I just wasn't able to identify them. However, maybe with my shell collection, it'll go a bit differently. You can even tell how some of them were quick to dry, how others are still very potent with water. I'm not necessarily sure whether that's actually something very interesting or whether it's a chemical reaction based on the type of rock, but it's very interesting to learn about. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and have a good morning, a good evening, or a good afternoon. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.